it last year, we did it the year prior, and running around and it seemed more confusing where things did not get counted properly. So I'm actually in favor of roll call, even though unfortunately I will not be here in June, so.
Okay. I don't know exactly how many people we have running, but each paper ballot requires a minimum of 50 ballots. And then you have to have a backup in case there's a tie and when there's 3 people running. So I think altogether you're going to need about 500 paper ballots because we have that many people running. And then you need backup. So it would be an extremely time-consuming process to try and do paper ballots. So I would highly recommend that we stick with the roll call, which is why we did it last year, and I think we should continue in that same vein.
I just have one thing, and I'll let you respond. I'm not familiar, obviously, with how either one of these things work. This is my first year for elections on the community board. I do, however, I'm thinking of a hybrid roll call situation where your vote is not necessarily stated out loud, but upon a roll call, you would approach the table and cast your vote in front of the election committee or whoever is taking the vote. So rather than saying it out loud, we would call your name, you'd walk up and cast your vote. I just want to know if that was something that you would accept as being somewhat of a compromise or a hybrid, where it's still a paper ballot, but it's also roll call style, so we're not actually tallying up 500 pieces of paper as you had mentioned, and I just wanted to, it came to mind and I just wanted to bring that up. Mr. Ponder.
Hold on, call order. Dorothy goes first. First to speak is last to speak again.
I actually, no, we were on the same wavelength, Taisha. That idea of a hybrid, it's been done at my old high school. I was one of the union delegates of the UFT, and we did exactly that. We had the paper ballots, but as we walked into school, we just tick off that we accepted the ballot and put it in a box. But what you would do here, I think, is excellent because you sort of taking roll call that so-and-so put the ballot in. No one will know who you voted for. I like that hybrid idea.
It gets publicized anyway.
Yeah, but it's not necessarily who you're voting for, it's a paper ballot.
No, after the election, everyone.
It gets published.
I think the expression is that in the moment it's a little uncomfortable, but after the fact it's like what happens, but in the moment I think people are having a hard time looking at their friends and saying, I didn't vote for you. So my suggestion was that you would still do roll call and they would actually say it or whisper it out loud to the person that was doing the tallying. So it functions the same way as a roll call, but they're not saying it out loud.
But what can we do a paper ballot and have, the names on it and then you tick it off and put it in a box? That's all I'm saying.
Well, it has to be counted that night, right?
Yeah, so
Yeah,
then you get counted that night.
That's a lot of paper.
That's democracy. It doesn't always work quickly.
Mr. Prince?
I think that's a wonderful idea.
Yes.
Very new and
You
fresh
think it's gonna
idea.
break this little?
Because we've done both types, and I think the concerns that you expressed there can be taken care of that way, and it would be a little more efficient because that is the problem in holding people for extended lengths of time.
Anyone else before I recognize Mr. Ponder?
Can I just ask a
Yes.
question? I agree. I don't think we should do it out loud because I think you're right. People aren't, I think Mr. Ponder's right, people didn't show up because they're, embarrassed or feel terrible, that they weren't voting for this. What you're discussing, sign it in front of you and then still everybody knows? I don't understand.
Well, what I was, if you want me to actually act it out, if they were to call my name, I would walk up to Mr. Sullivan and say, I'm this person, and he would mark it off in real time so that we're not later on opening papers, as Bob said, which is very time consuming. So the hybrid would just allow you to say your vote in front of the person who's tallying it up. You wouldn't have to necessarily write it. My vision is more like a check on, like basically there would be 5 pieces of paper and you would check off on each paper who you vote for each category and walk away.
Actually, that doesn't work. Sorry. Can't do that.
You were thinking of.
No, no, you can't go up and vote for following commission.
Please,
Sorry.
please,
I just want to explain the procedure if I
wait a
may.
minute. You spoke.
Okay.
You're the chair, pick the next person, and then go to Bob.
Julian,
Yeah, I have no problem with paper ballots. Bob seems to have a problem. But you know, it's the price of democracy. I mean, if I've got to make a few more paper ballots, who cares? Look at all the paper we're wasting over here at the table. I mean, we've got hundreds of papers coming out all the time. What are you talking about, a ream of paper? Who cares? It's the price of democracy.
3 hours to read them.
Price of democracy. You do the paper ballot, you count it up, and then we get the results. It's very simple.
Colonel,
No problem. Thank you, darling.
thank you.
Well, I think I have a couple of suggestions. The national election is a secret ballot. That's one troll for it. And usually most places are secret ballots. And to speed up the process, I would have everybody lined up alphabetically, and as they go through, you check the right off there. So you don't, it's no time consuming to count the ballots. That's to, rather than an Academy Award, you announce it, take 10 minutes to walk up there. That's the third way. And not the third way, that's the suggestion, but I forgot the third one. When you're 87 going to 88,
So listen, the only observation that I wanna make is that we have the same people nominated for multiple positions, so you can't do it on the first run. So you're gonna have to do multiple runs in order for you to be able to elect people, since you have some members that are being nominated for 2 or 3 positions.
Why is that? Because if I know who I want my 4 or 5 people to be, you're just gonna tally up the votes.
But if the first person wins, then you cannot himself.
So what happens, what's that?
Though you would only have to redo the people who have a conflict,
One,
not the whole thing.
That's right.
okay, Taisha, you have to win by the majority of the quorum. So if you have 3 people winning, and say you have 39 people, all right? You have to have 19 people to win. So if there's 3 people and the highest guy is 17, you gotta knock off the lowest one and redo that ballot. It just goes on and on. That's how you gotta do the election. Even if it's roll call, it's the same thing. You have to win by majority.
Well, that part I get, instead of doing it 5 times, you could only do the ones that had a conflict, but if you want to do it 5 times, that's also fine.
Well, no, see,
It's fine.
the biggest problem, like we've been saying, and paper ballots are a godsend. If you only had one
person.
No, if you only had one position, 2 people running for one position, we have no problem. You put 3 people in, it gets a little confusing. But then if you have the same person running for multiple positions, then we gotta scratch off names, we went through this, you gotta count them. Then when we went back to the office, Martin, how many days did we go through? Me, Martin, and the staff to double check, and we count was so off, it didn't change the election, but it was 1 or 2 votes off. So that's what was the problem with the paper ballots. Now, everyone's thinking about the elections they have in the past, but remember one thing, the election is going on while we're still having a meeting. And that's what held up the meetings and made them longer and longer. That's fine, it's whatever the board wants. But the paper ballots did make it longer because we have people running from multiple positions. And either way, it's whatever they want, but I think at this point we should put it to a vote.
So in terms of just qualifying the vote, it's a little complicated because there's paper, roll call, and hybrid. Mr. Ponder, I'll let you conclude briefly.
I remember my third
All
option.
right, give me before he gets it.
Fight for yes.
The introductions, what do the other boards do? And what do the majority of the other boards do?
Who cares?
I have no idea.
I really don't care what they do.
Thank you for the opportunity to make the last statement on this. And I want to choose my words carefully. I don't want to get rid of the goodwill that I had engendered with the apology to the chair. I want you to notice that those people who are against a paper ballot are on the executive board. Okay? I want you to notice that.
Is that true?
Okay, just a second.
No, you made a
No,
statement.
just hold on a second.
No, you
Hold
made
on,
a
hold on,
statement.
hold on a
We
second.
had no time.
They are on,
Order. You made a statement. People have the right to respond to that statement, because that's not true. That was not true, and you haven't been here to count paper ballots, so you shouldn't make those statements like that.
I'm gonna stand for my statement. I want you to notice who is for a paper ballot and who is not for a paper ballot.
Well, we don't know
I
yet.
want you,
because
I
we
want you,
didn't vote.
can I have a point of order, please?
It's already been established.
Okay, just hold on for a second. Hold on for a second. It was stated that this is the price of democracy that we will have to pay. This is not rocket science. I'm a doctor. I know how to count. I know how to read. Okay? And there's also an attempt for a seismic shift in the complexion or the composition of this executive board that will include inclusion and diversity. This is the price that we're going to have to pay if we're going to do that. And so I am asking you, I will lend my expertise. I can tell you that I can solve any problem that results in extra paper, extra counting, extra reading, and I'm imploring upon you to have the courage and strike a blow for justice in this community board by doing what I think is fair. Thank you.
Here, here.
Don't give me the mic. You gotta get back to the person who's running.
If I may.
Oh, I love it. I'll be brief.
I'm going to be very brief. First of all, I'm not running for any office, just to be very clear, okay? But, you know, one of the things we have problems with at every meeting is nobody wants to stay too late. I can assure you that if all 50 of us, or 35, or whatever number shows up to vote that night, and one by one we have to go to the chair for each office, you will be here past midnight. Paper ballots, you will be here past midnight. The roll call ballot is the fastest, easiest, most efficient way for us to get through this election. We've done it that way in the past, and it worked much better than any other process. Thank you.
And I just have to add, I'm sorry, but I was here when we did that paper ballot, and it was a nightmare, and I wasn't running for anything, and I wasn't counting anything, but I remember it. And so I would love a paper ballot, because honestly, it is hard to vote, because everybody, we have things that we like about a certain person, and it's hard to say, I'm gonna vote for you versus you. It's a very hard decision. I think we all think very seriously about it, but the paper ballots were a terrible nightmare. That's all I can say. And I didn't even have to do anything for them, except vote. Sorry.
Well, how come we just narrowed it down to verbal or paper ballot? What about the middle option where you go in the line and the chair checks off each?
We didn't narrow it. That's one of the options. She gave 3 options. That is one of the options, Colonel.
When we do the vote, I'm going to ask that you say paper, hybrid, or roll call, and then we'll see what the
So,
majority
you want to
says.
do a roll call for that?
Can we do that on paper, please?
We'll do
Okay.
it.
We can do roll call for the roll call.
Wait a minute. Everyone understands, when your name is called, you're either going to say hybrid,
Hybrid, paper, or roll call.
okay? Lauren?
Yes. Oh,
What?
About having a separate night for this for voting?
Okay.
with the hybrid,
I see a problem.
You don't have the floor, sir.
I was
Nobody else
recognized.
has the floor.
I was recognized by the chair.
Chairman,
I was recognized.
The chair is up.
I was recognized by the chair.
No, he was pointing to her.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was recognized by you.
Now you got my right.
I'll wait my turn.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Go.
Okay, I have a question. With the hybrid, do we go up for chairperson and then vote, come back and sit down? Then go up for first vice, come back. So each time there's a position up, we have to go up and then come back down? Because that seems to take up a lot of time as well.
So I would say that we could do it the way the Colonel suggested, which is everyone would line up in alphabetical order, so that we don't have to actually call and wait for you to get up and walk up there. So you would all be kind of standing here and pretty much just voting. Yeah. Essentially, I thought we could do it at one time, but after the explanation, it would appear that there might be some conflicts. The way I envision it is if everyone's voting for one person, regardless of how many people are named for a position, the majority of those votes for each position will be the ones who win, but there is a potential that it could be the same person nominated for two positions that we would have to redo that one. In which case, I think it's better to just redo the conflicts than it is to do 5 up, but the majority seems to know this a lot better than I do, and it would be that you would approach for each position.
Ms. Chairperson?
Yes.
Ms. Chairperson?
Hold on, yes.
You're out of time.
Okay, great, let's put it to a vote. If anyone's about to repeat what we've already said,
I'm not repeating
let's put it to a vote.
She's out of time. It's 10 minutes.
Okay,
Say the roll.
I have a point of order.
No.
Okay, the point of order is this. The point of order is this. We have right now, the point of order is this. We have a motion on the floor. That's the first
We
point.
don't have a motion on the floor yet because I didn't actually call for a motion
And the
yet,
other
Mr.
thing is
Fonser.
that if you have a vote for 3 things, listen now, listen how insidious this is. So you have hybrid, paper, roll call, okay? So that means that the paper is being divided by 2 votes. So you can end up with a roll call. I see what's going on here, okay? So it should be, no, hold on for a second. It should be paper against the roll call. That was the motion, we should vote for it, and then we should go, and then from there, you can vote that against the hybrid. It's very insidious. I want you to see what's
So
happening.
I take exception to you saying it's insidious because it was my recommendation
I'm
to
sorry.
create a
Maybe you were
hybrid.
not aware.
This is my first year and I was making the recommendation as a compromise between paper and roll call. So I take exception to your comment because it's uncalled for, and I'm ready to put this to a vote and call a motion. Yes?
Again, how would you like to take it? 3 different
3 different ways: paper, roll call, hybrid. So motion.
Move to vote. Go
I
ahead.
need a motion to start the voting.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor of paper? Are you gonna do it by roll call? Okay, fine, no problem.
Hannah?
Roll call.
Tommy?
Roll call.
Raquel?
Roll call.
Bob Barbarelli?
Paper.
Vita?
Roll call.
Joseph Boyko?
Roll call.
PK Tillo?
Roll call.
Maria? Taisha?
Hybrid.
Hybrid. Colonel Chen?
Hybrid.
Hybrid. Very good. Andrew Chirico?
Roll call.
Lauren Council?
Paper.
Michelle DeVille?
I don't really care. Can I abstain?
No. You had 3 choices. That's the 4th.
Pick a side.
Hybrid.
Hybrid. Okay, we have Terrence Franklin.
Hybrid.
Irene?
Roll call.
Roll call.
That was good.
Debbie Hunt?
Hybrid.
Monique's not here. Dorothy? Dorothy. Ready? Julian?
Julian?
Paper.
Paper.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Mary Jane? Roll call. Denise?
Roll call.
Roll call. Joseph?
Hybrid.
Hybrid. Who else? Jocelyn.
Hybrid.
Hybrid. Christos. Dr. Alvin Pond.
Hybrid.
Luke.
Roll call.
Roll call. Martin Prince.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. I go with the hybrid.
John Robert. Hybrid. Ruben. Come around.
Conflict of interest.
Roll call. Bishop Nancy.
The insidious hybrid.
Talk about what you're saying.
Joe Russo.
Tyson, you didn't hear me. I said the insidious hybrid.
Roll call. Tony.
Okay, this is dragging, I tell you.
Stephanie Woods.
Hybrid.
And Pete Sullivan is roll call. All right, while he's counting up, we have old business.
Can I have a point of information if I may? Point of information if I may?
No, you can't. No, you can't. You track, and then go to change the winning side.
You can change before you close.
You counted them. We know what you did. You were like counting cards in Vegas there. We watch it. Look at the little pin marks. Don't pull no fast.
We can change this vote.
What does he want to change it to?
He wants to change.
Would you like to change it to hybrid?
Go ahead, Nancy.
He can change his vote.
Haven't announced what the vote, the results are.
Wait a minute, point of information. I suggested I'm throwing out, if this voting is such a big issue, can it be done on a separate day from the normal meeting?
It has to be done in open public.
Oh, we're doing open public?
No.
Open public
So you want to have
election.
two meetings next month?
And
Two full board meetings next month, is that what you want?
That's
That's what I was saying.
Point of order, the gentleman wants to change his vote, and the vote has not closed.
listen, maybe you didn't understand. He counted the votes. He was on by the
You
one
should not put the hammer, come on, Peter, be fair. He wants to change it.
What, do you want to make up your own rules now? Come on, the guy voted.
No, I'm telling you that it is the rule. I said I'm pointing of
No,
order.
it's not the rule.
If he wants to change, if I go into a voting booth, I can change my vote.
No, you can't. Not
I want to leave
everybody.
the vote.
No, but you have not put that.
Dr. Alvin Pond. Still like it. Ready for this? It's a tie vote.
It's not a tie if you let him change his vote.
What's the tie? What's the tie? Hybrid and
You gotta do it again.
What are the two options?
Roll call, hybrid.
All right.
Do it again.
Can we do a show of hands this time, or you want roll call again?
What are the numbers, sir?
You gotta do roll call.
15.
Well, 15,
3 and 15.
15, 15, 3. So we have a total of 33.
Right.
So we need 17 to pass.
Right.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm gonna
So
start.
even if you change.
Hold on.
It's only hybrid and roll call this time around, and they rejected my show of hands. I'm sorry about that.
Who rejected it?
You did.
No, I didn't.
Oh.
All in favor of hybrid, but keep your hands up so we can count them. Raise your hand. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
Wait, I mean, put it down.
What?
I
I
mean,
did. Now you make me count all over again? Who's not here?
Stephanie Wood was the restroom.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Irene changed her mind. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Carries.
Carries.
Thank you.
That's gonna be a long meeting.
The insidious hybrid law.
Old business, once again. Anything on old business? Anything on new business? We got two motions to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions?
You didn't say anything
Conflict of
about
interest.
I did. You're being difficult today. Change your vote after I counted, make me go backwards. Now put you in charge of the hybrid count. I canceled.
Oh, thank you.